Hi, everyone. I chose option number three, where you can visibly see that the student, they need to verbalize what they are learning and why that's important. So after watching the video together with the new student, the first thing that I would ask her or him would be, which students do you think understood what they were learning and why? And so my answer actually to that question would be is that I think that student number two actually understood what they learned the most because he was able to um, first verbalize what they were learning. He gave the learning objective and then reasoning behind it, like why what they were doing matters. Like that we weren't just doing opinion writing. You can't just say your opinion. You have to back it up with facts. So he was able to give many reasons behind the learning objective. And I think one student that maybe didn't really fully understand what they were learning was student number three, and they just said that they're doing prediction work. She didn't go into answering maybe what prediction work was, and maybe why it was important that they were learning that. So that's something that I would hope that the new teacher would get from the video. And if they didn't, I definitely think that my thoughts from that would be helpful in guiding them with that. And then being a special education teacher, I think that it is definitely important that students can visibly see and see it somewhere in the room and that you constantly go to it every day, the learning objective for every single subject for what they're learning, and even have them repeat and out loud. And if you notice that some students aren't doing it, you can call on certain students just to make sure that they are also paying attention and realize that, you know, what they are learning is important to the lesson. And to reference a page in the book that we're using for this class is I chose on page 37 that says connecting learning intentions to prior knowledge. I think that is very, very important. So instead of just doing a learning objective question in my classroom, I would also tell the new teacher that it would be good to also do like I can statements, and not just the teacher putting up the I can statements, but actually having the students come together and they actually, from the question, they form the I can statements together as a class, or you can individually do it with a student, especially, you know, one that may struggle, kind of guide them and help them along the way with coming up with it, because then now they're connecting to the question. So some of the things that I noted here in my book that I do, how it says many teachers begin their classes with a warm-up exercise. This is something that I like to do in my classroom. I try to do it every day, but sometimes the morning routines, like, let them know that it's okay if sometimes your morning routines, you know, once a week just kind of overtake doing your morning meetings, then, you know, that's okay. You know, don't stress over the small things. But for morning meetings, I do what they do in here. I think this is a great idea. Some of mine's may be more for the social emotional learning. Also, like, how are you feeling today? What are something that you would want to learn about? Or what is something that might stress you out today with your learning? I kind of like to incorporate the social emotional learning side also in some of my morning meetings. So what I would do is I'll have three questions posted on the board. They can answer one, two, or all of them. It's up to them. But I like how they reference in here where they said, we're going to be learning about volcanoes today. Can volcanoes be under the ocean? How do you know? So I do also do questions about little different things that we might be learning in science or in social studying, either from the prior day that we learned or for something upcoming that we're going to learn, either about like the Revolutionary War, because I do teach fourth grade, to see what they might already know. And then I don't just leave it at that, because I think that the students don't see that as important. Like, I'm just here, I'm just answering a question. I like to then use what they have there. I collect the post-it notes, and then I use my document camber, which is, I think, what this person also does in here. So I really like that I'm doing what they're doing in this book. It lets me know that what I'm doing is great. So I take some of the post-it notes. I don't take all of them, but I take some really good ones. So I take some of the high level answers, the medium, and then like the low, so that we can expand on the low, and I make sure that they don't put their name on any of these post-it notes, but we go over them and we talk about them, like, oh, look at what this person suggested this and this, what do we think? Or how can what this person said, how can we grow upon this one? What else can we add to this to make this an even, you know, better answer, or even answer a question that they had on the post-it note? And sometimes the students, they actually like to say, even if they were the low level learner, when they answered it, they were just really excited that you picked them and talked to them. So like, oh, that was me, and here's more that I wanted to know, and I just didn't. They sometimes aren't able to express it and write it all, so they get really excited that you do pick them. So I want the new teacher to know that they don't always have to pick the high level learners, that they really need to pick the medium and the low, so that they can push those learners and where they're thinking, because ultimately that is what you want. You want students to keep their prior knowledge and continually add on more to their prior knowledge, and so that their reading and their comprehension can grow over time. All right, I also want to make sure that I hit the question that says, how do you convince him or her that kids need to be able to verbalize the learning intention? I would convince them that they need to know this, because if the student cannot verbalize to you what they are learning, the question that they're learning, and then be able to answer that question, or even simply answer just in a small term, not even giving you a long drawn out answer like the student number 2 did. If they can't even give you the question, that they're not listening and they're not engaged in the lesson at all. So they're totally not there. They're not even learning it. They're, as I like to call it, they're spacing out, and they're not there. Even though their body's physically there, they are not there. So it's very important that each and every student can verbalize their learning intention, what they're learning, and how they know they're learning it. So calling on these students, either like in small group or as a whole, whatever you want to do, and ask them, well, what are we learning today? And then have them don't just say, oh, we're learning about prediction work, like student number 3 did in that video. Say, well, what is prediction? How do you know? Why is it important? Like, you need to continually probe the student into a deeper thinking, and why what we're doing is important to them, not just in 4th grade or whatever grade you're teaching, that it's important to their future and connecting it. So I hope you've enjoyed my video, and I definitely hope that that first year teacher gets some knowledge from this video. Thank you.